poor. So what for you? What for you are so symptoms is, according to what you said, poor organization and poor warehousing. Poor warehousing. Is that correct?
Well, for the symptoms, what we captured, can I read on what we captured as our symptoms?
Yes, please.
Okay, we mentioned 5 different symptoms. One of the symptoms was difficulty in tracking inventory. Difficulty in tracking inventory. 2, inadequate space utilization. Inadequate space utilization. 3, poor product visibility.
Okay.
Poor product visibility. 4, increase picking and packing turnaround time. Increase picking and packing turnaround time. Then 5, open cartons can subject product to damage. Open cartons can subject product to damage. So these are our symptoms based on the problem statement.
Okay, excellent. Now, lots of things to say about it. Is there anybody who would like to react to what this group said are the symptoms? Somebody would like to react to that? Somebody? Hello? Somebody would like to react to this? Okay, nobody? So why do you believe that these things, some of these 5 points are symptoms? Are you sure they are not causes, intermediary causes or root causes?
No, I think from me, these are symptoms of the problem identified. You see, looking at when we go back to the picture, you can see that the cartons are vertically arranged. And for instance, maybe if you're having 2 units of item, for instance, if it is a blood bag, maybe 250 mils and 450 mils. And based on that arrangement, you have some difficulty in tracking your inventory, which will now affect the turnaround time of your activity.
Okay.
And the cartons plated on the VA flow in between the 2 racks had consumed space, and at the same time, even the cartons on the last rack, the cartons have slipped down. And you can see that there is a space. Had it been there been arranged accordingly, those cartons will not occupy that space.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
Based on that, yes, the picking and packing time will also be affected. and you can see there is a carton that is open, and which is a potential risk to the product because it's an open carton, and that carton supposed to, on ideal situation, is supposed to be closed, even though depending on the product. But then ideally it should be closed and well arranged.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it will give room to dust. If there are insects, vermins, and what have you, can have access to the product.
Okay. Yes, Abdulaziz would like to raise the hand. Do you want to say something, Abdulaziz?
Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, for being on this call this morning, and also thank you to the skill team for reminding us that we have to be on time. Time is money, they said. So please, let's try to be on time. The next workshop. So having said that, I just want to highlight something. So when we are talking about symptoms and we are talking about causes, these are two different things. The cause will produce the symptom, and the symptom is what you see actually. So this haphazard arrangement is actually the symptom that we are seeing. So when we are asked what is the cause, why is there this disorganized arrangement? That is what the cause is all about. The disorganized arrangement is the symptom we are seeing. So what it will lead to is another thing altogether, because then it is, now you are talking of, if you are in the medical field, you will be talking about prognosis. So if we think about it in that line, we'll be able to say, okay, this is the symptom. And so if we are working back to the cause, we'll start asking, so why is this happening? And why is this happening? And why is this happening? Until we get to the root cause, because there may be more than one cause. And that is why we said the root cause. What is the initial problem? What is the initial cause of this problem? That is how you think about it. If you think about it like that, then you'll be able to put your thoughts very concisely and say, okay, this is actually why this is happening. This is actually why this is happening, until you come to the symptoms and say, okay, yes, finally, this is what we are seeing. And underneath that, there are all these things that are happening that we are not seeing. And so what we are trying to do is to address that, what we are not seeing, so that we don't see what we are seeing. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
Yes.
that is how I think you have to think about it.
Yes. So Ibrahim, Mr. Ibrahim wanted to say something. Let me summarize what Abdulaziz would like to say, because I have the same feeling. What is been the 5 points described here? It's very good. You did the exercise. Now, the issue with this course is that we need to think, and to make sure we understand the meaning of the words. Is it a problem? It's easy to answer that question. Number one question, is this a problem? What do we see? Is this a problem? Then number two, is it the symptom of something? As Abdul said, a symptom is just a reflection to say, well, if it's a problem, that means something is not right. And if it's not right, it's a symptom of something. So that means that the whys, the reasons is gonna come. And we will have to ask ourselves why. Here, point number 5, open carton can subject product to damage. You're right, but it's a consequence. It's not a symptom. What probably you wanted to say here, to be extremely crystal clear, is that cartons are open under bracket. They should not be open because carton and product will be open to damage. This is probably what you say. The symptom, as Abdul Aziz said, is the fact that is in front of us, and that is a problem. That, yes, it's a problem. It's a problem that cartons are open in a provincial warehouse. It's a problem that there's, as we see in the picture, that space utilization is inadequate here. It's a problem that so that I see as symptoms. Now, difficulty to track inventory, you could say it's a consequence. It's so chaotic, it's so messy that you will have issues to track inventory. Now, so this is where we become very intellectual, and we need to distinguish if it's a problem, yes or no. Since it's a problem, it's probably a symptom. And be careful, because the symptom is not a consequence, is not something resulting from. And we need to be very clear in our words choosing. What we're writing here, cartons are open and they should not. It's a fact. It's what is in the picture. Increased picking and packing turnaround time is a consequence. Is it a consequence or is it a root cause? All that, you need to be very, very strict if you don't want to be confused. And again, this course is supposed to give you the habit to be able to be that precise. Abdulaziz, did I summarize well what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Thank you.
And this is normal, because having the intellectual habit to be able to be very meticulous is actually not easy. We have the global methodology naturally because we use it in our personal life. We ask why. It's root causing. But to be sure that to distinguish, okay, this is a symptom, this is a fact, is it a problem or not? If it's not a problem, then it's not the symptom. But it could be the symptom of a good thing, actually. Now, the symptoms are not root causes and are not consequences. Now, to help the easing of the understanding, you could put under brackets and say it might result for each of the symptoms, which is great as well, to illustrate and to understand it better. Sanjay, do you want to add something to that? And Mr. Ibrahim wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just want to add that we are running late.
Yes. Yes. So carton and open is definitely a symptom. Increased picking and packing turnaround time, it could be a consequence, and it could be a root cause. So be careful when you put it here. Poor product visibility could be a root causes, or it could be a consequence. It's so messy, you will not be able to have visibility on the product. Now, inadequate space utilization, this is very clear. This is a symptom, this is a problem, and this is probably a symptom of something else. Difficulty inadequate space utilization carton are open. It is very chaotic. So you see there's this, and actually symptoms and problem are linked in the sense that if it's a problem, if yes, it's a problem, then we engage in the intellectual pathway to say it is a symptom, and number two. And number three, if it's a symptom, that it might be a cause and a root cause of something, it might lead to a root cause, and therefore we need to engage in the WISE methodology or other methodologies. Is that a little bit clearer? Somebody would like to react, especially Mr. I forgot your name. Ilya. Yes. Tell me what you feel about what I said.
No, I think it's it's okay. But what we did, what we interlinked, the problem directly with the symptoms.
Yeah.
But then, based on the explanation you made, I understood the problem why drafting this. But then initially we consider the problem and just link it with the symptoms.
Yes. But do you recognize that some of the 5 points you put were actually consequences rather than symptoms? Now, if you change the wording, cartons are open, and they should not, then this is not a consequence. Okay. Now, what did you engage in the process of root causing?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move to that point, if you don't mind. Next slide, please. Yes.
Yeah, the next one. Next slide.
Excellent. So please tell us.
Okay. So the first why here is, why is there for warehousing and stock arrangement? Why is there for warehousing and stock
Management
arrangement?
so poor? Yeah, okay.
Yes. Why
So
is
the answer
there,
to that?
why is warehousing and stock arrangement poor?
Please, for the sake of understanding, would you answer the first why? Or you didn't know, you didn't answer?
We answer it.
Okay.
The
Can you
answer
answer
is
the first
because,
why? What was your
yes,
answer to
because,
why it's poor?
yes, because the warehouse is cluttered and stock is not properly organized.
Okay. Okay.
Then the second why is the warehouse cluttered?
Okay.
Because the stock is not properly stored and maintained.
Okay.
Then the third why is, why the stock is not properly stored and maintained?
Yes.
Because the 5S methodology is not being properly implemented. You know, we domesticated this thing. We are using this 5S Kaizen methodology, and
Yes.
has been our guide in while arranging our commodities. So we now consider it, because we are using it, because the 5S methodology is not been properly implemented. Then
Okay.
the fourth why the 5S methodology is not been properly implemented,
Yes.
because there is inadequate monitoring and supervision.
Okay. Excellent.
Why there is inadequate monitoring and supervision? Because the supervisors are not trained on 5S monitoring and supervision.
Okay.
Because the supervisors are not trained on 5S monitoring and supervision framework. So this is what we have.
Okay. Excellent. How do you feel about it? Are you satisfied by the methodology? Did you find it very hard to tell us? Lots of discussions in your group?
Hello, you said?
I said, what do you feel about these 5 whys on why on the symptom of poor warehousing? Was the discussion very difficult in your group? How did you feel about the methodology applied to this context? Over to you.
Well, you know, there was a guide last week. You guided us on how to design this. And so that has been our guide. And now we look at the problem and use the guide to draft this.
Okay, but was it difficult? Lots of discussions? Or it was easy?
Yes, it was actually, it was a bit difficult. Yes. Because
And why was it difficult?
A lot of ideologies, you see, from, it's a group. So we've been discussing, moving up and down, and we've finally agreed on this.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's good. So to our standpoint, I think it's great. You starting to go into this methodology, and you're gonna see that the more you use it, the easier it's gonna be for everybody, even for Sanjay and I. The more you use it, the more you will have the habit. At the beginning, it's a bit difficult because, again, it's highly intellectual. You need to distinguish the problem, to link it with symptoms, and after that, if it's a yes, move into the root causes. So it's difficult. It's a habit, intellectual habit, and I touch my head. And when we're not used to it, it takes a long time to get the habit. Now, so that's good, you did the exercise, and I hope the other groups, unfortunately, we don't have time for the other groups, but it's going to be for the next, so you group number?
Group 4.
4. We will try to ask the other group next time so that everybody has a chance to talk. Now, for me, why is warehousing stock management poor? Because the warehouse is cluttered and stock is not properly organized. For me, it doesn't answer the question because stock arrangement poor is a synonym of not properly organized. To arrange something or to organize something is actually very similar. So for me, the answer to the first why leaves you to a second why that is unnecessary. You're saying the same thing. But again, this is your first attempt, so no offense. And actually, you could move from the first to the third almost exactly like Yashika put, is that it's not organized because we have a good methodology, but is not properly implemented. And because you, in first why and second why, you a little bit repeated yourself, then you do, are you sure you're going to the root cause? You delayed the fifth why, if you understand what I mean. Do you understand what I mean?
Well, hello?
Yes, we hear you. Over to you.
I delayed the fifth why. I didn't get the question.
No, my question is, do you understand that actually your first why and the second why is almost the same meaning? Because when you answer the first why, you said poor stock arrangement, and your answer is poor, not properly organized. This means it means the same. So you're not answering clearly the first why. If you answer to the first why the stock arrangement is poor, is because the 5S Kaizen methodology is not implemented, then you answer the question right away. Instead of asking the second why, the warehouse is cluttered. So for me, why the first why and the second why are too similar, and you could have merged them because the answer of the first why is almost synonym to the first why question. That means that the second why question is almost the same. Cluttered and poorly arranged is the same. Make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So it's just a minor question, just a minor comments on your attempt, but it's great if you feel that you start to enter into the methodology and understand it and being able to use it. That's great. Sanjay, do you want to intervene, or Abdulaziz, or we need to move?
I mean, if you've arrived at the fifth or like the root cause, then we can move, or otherwise you can keep discussing.
Yes. Now, Mr. Elia, we could, since we save from the first why to the, we collapse, we merge the first to the second why, then we save one why. Again, we could use 4 whys, 5 whys, or 6 whys, up to you. But in here, the template is 5 whys.
Yes.
Do you think there's a question? If you ask the 5 whys why the supervisors are not trained yet in 5S Kaizen, what would you be? What would be the answer to that question?
Then I think we'll take it to governance. There
Okay.
is, yeah, we'll take it up to governance. The top
Yeah, they have to answer that question because you don't.
yes.
You cannot. Okay, makes sense. Ask the governance. Okay. Abdulaziz, do you want to react to this example and provide your view about these 5 whys, or provide another reading and other whys? Up to you. And
Yes,
we move on.
I think, yeah, I think the 5 whys is just an indication of what you can do with the whys. Sometimes there are the causative factor is very lengthy, because one cause leads to the other until you get to the root cause. So it may be more than 5 whys, and sometimes it is just, you can actually see it even before you go there, and then maybe you just need 2 whys and everything. So it depends on how you look at it, what you are after, for you to be able to say, okay, how many whys can I do before I get to the root cause? So that is really dependent on the problem and how deep the problem is. I think we need to make very clear. But the other thing I think, and you have said it quite nicely, is that we cannot do just surface thinking. I'll call it surface thinking, because it's really about problem solving. And if you don't understand the problem itself, then you are not going to be able to resolve the issues that are causing the problems. So understand the problem first. Then look at what could be the possible causes of that problem. And also you need to arrange those causes as one leading to the other. It's not that all of them will be on the same plane. No. For example, if you said somebody has a fever, okay, a fever is a symptom. And then you say, okay, so what is causing the fever? So the person had a trauma or something. And so there's an inflammation. That causes a fever. But then what causes the trauma? You see, trauma in itself can be the cause factor for the fever. But then there could be something else that resulted in the trauma. For example, if the person slipped and fell, that will lead to trauma. So why did the person slip and fall? That is also a reason that you have to look at. Probably the surface is so probably the surface is wet and the person. So why should the person fall actually? So you see, it's not even the trauma now that is the actual cause of the problem. It is something that is outside. You are thinking of the trauma that has caused the problem. So you need to be able to link one cause to the other, and that is how you link the whys, because each why should tell you something that is different, but it's still related to what you are asking. Okay. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's how you can actually get to the root cause. So you have to think deeply for you to be able to get to where you are going. And I think to solve problems, especially in supply chain, that almost every day you have a problem to solve, you need to get into this act of asking those questions that will lead you to the cause.
Yes.
For you to be able to solve the problems.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. And we will finish that because we're already late, but we engage. We engaging, you engaging. Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Ilya, to move into this direction. Now, you could have asked why is the stock, the warehousing is poor. You could say that there's not enough staff working. And they're so busy. There's one and two, and then there's so many things to receive, so many things to put away, so many things to pick, pack, and ship that actually people cannot spend time arranging. You see, and you move to the second why, you move to the third why, because we cannot recruit. Why cannot we recruit? Is because the salaries are too low, or because this expertise is difficult to find where we are, and this kind of stuff. So you find one of the root causes. Now, the exercise is as well to flesh down all potential causes that would lead to different root causes. That's the fishbone. Okay? Good with these examples? Thank you very much for your interaction, Mr. Ilya and Abdulaziz. That makes it very interactive. That's the purpose of a workshop. Let's move on the slides. Yashika, if you're okay with that. Root causes, well, we describe it. Now, remember that if there is one problem, there could be lots of causes, intermediary causes, and there could be lots of root causes. And that should be expressed. It would have been great it will be great in the next exercises and homework. You try not to pick one, but to pick several that you think could be potential. And of course, it's a group consensus. So therefore, if somebody say, well, I believe that's the root cause number one, it's the major. Somebody else will say, but that's our supervisor. The third one will say, no, that's lack of, we don't have enough staff. And the supervisor, part of his group, could say, actually, I supervise you, but I believe that it's more the lack of training. That is the balanced approach. Thank you very much. Now, quickly, and probably in less than 20 minutes, do you have any question on the course? Not the exercise, on the course, on your understanding, on how you go there. And some of them have not started yet. And Abdulaziz requested you begin to start? What is the problem? Why you're not starting the course? Somebody is at almost 70%, which is amazing. So somebody is very high. Over to you. Anybody want to talk?
Yes, okay. Maybe I'll say something here, and just to say that I've been navigating the course, and I think it's very intuitive. It's really very I mean very simple to follow. There's not much hiccup. There are no bugs. I have not seen one, and so I wouldn't know why people are not actually taking the course. For those of us that have not started, I think it's really very critical that we do this. Uh, this course, I think, is not just for your workplace, but it's also for your own personal. How do you put it?
Life.
Yeah, for your own personal use. It's an everyday thing that you can use to improve your life yourself. So we try to get these courses. A lot of people want to get on the course, and if we are getting it for free for now, you can be sure that in the next month or so, it may not be free. It will definitely not be free. So I exhort you to actually take this opportunity to actually get something out of this course. Improve yourself, because that is the only way you can improve your systems. So we'll start monitoring, and personally, I have no issues with maybe pulling people out of the course if they are not pulling their weight, because the more people don't take the course, the more they affect others. And so we don't want somebody to be viral in this case, that they will be affecting other people. So please, let's try to see how we can participate in this course. For those of us that have been going through it, I'm sure you have realized that this is something that is life-changing for you. So please try to see also that you carry along your colleagues. Try to talk to them. Those of us that are group leads, try to get one-on-one with these people, just so that you can motivate them also to be able to participate in this. Because once you lose this, you may not be able to get it again, unless you pay for it, that is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abdulaziz. Anybody would like to participate in this discussion? Can somebody have the humility to say, well, I've not started for this reason? And who's the Yashika and Ritika? We should not pinpoint at people, but there's somebody who's 80% done already or 70% done. Can we know this person? And can that person talk to us?
I'll have to check. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody? Nobody would like to talk. Very shy. You sure?
Who is shy? So we'll start calling names now.
Okay, Abdulaziz.
Yeah. So we'll check who has not started, and then we'll call your names. I hope that is okay with everybody.
So let's start with group lead. Madam Fatima is part of the call.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be a group lead. No, she's not part of it. Is she? No, I don't think so.
I think she was there a minute ago.
Okay. Okay, who's the other group lead? 4 groups. 2 have talked. Hello? Who's the other 2 group leads?
Yes, I'm one of the lead.
Okay. Please talk. Talk about your experience. Where are you?
Well, I think I'm 40. As at yesterday, I'm 40-something%.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And did you hear in your group people talking about the course, what they feel about it? Do they feel it's time consuming, are interested, not interested? Hello?
Hello, are we all online? I see that. Buhari, are you here? So he's not here. He's not here. All the people. Okay, Musa Dauda is here. Can Musa Dauda just give us a reason why he has not started? I know he joined latest. He was the one that joined last week, but at least he should have started.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning, sir, and good morning, the team from the Be Skilled. Okay, I just recently joined. I begin to update my profile, and I'm on the verge of commencing the course, because I just recently received the learning platform.
Okay.
Even though my access details was created around Wednesday, but I received the link late on Saturday. However, I have been working to see that I update my profile, and definitely within this week, we are going to see some changes from my own end. And initially, I was thinking that we came on board lately, we are going to receive an orientation, without knowing that it's just a self-learning course that we just don't need that orientation. But nonetheless, we are going to see how we can navigate through the course and put something on ground. Yes, thank you very much. Over.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your interaction. Again, Yashika and Ritika are available for you. If you run into any trouble, just email them. Look, we're a bit late, so that's good. You intervene. Now we will move and follow the agenda. And there will be a little bit time at the end if we're not too late, so that we could talk again on this topic. Okay? Excellent. Okay, next slide. So now, Abdulaziz, can you pick up somebody so that that person will see if on this picture, what they see to describe, is it good or not good? Is it a problem?
Okay. Dorothy. Dorothy, can you unmute
Yes,
and please tell us what you?
okay. I'm looking at it now. It's good.
Okay, describe and say what you see. Is it good or not?
Okay, what I see is very good. It's neat. It's well arranged. The commodities are properly arranged. So it's good.
Okay, so you see no problem.
Hello.
Yes, Dorothy, we hear you. Do you see no problem?
Actually, I see no problem. Yes.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. On the left, on the right, you see racking, lots of racking on the left, on the right. You see the main islet in the middle. You see 4 levels on the left and right side. You see enough space for forklifts. You see people, staff of the warehouse with security equipment. You see good lighting. You see lots of space. You see it looks clean, spacious, well arranged. You see no carton on the side. You see a little bit of behind the person on the right. You see things being stacked temporarily before moving to the picking area. And I think, Dorothy, you're right. It was a joke. This example is actually a joke because there's no problem. So there's no symptoms. So there's no root causing. There's no problem here. Equipment is professional, layout seems adequate for good operations, floor seems adequate for good transporting and maneuvering. It looks very, very good. Is it excellent, perfect? It's difficult to judge. But we just wanted to prompt you that sometimes there's no problem. And therefore, there's no need to look for root causing. Okay? Remember that. Thank you. Oh, Mr. Ilya would like to talk. Yes, quickly, we're late because of me.
Yes, I saw something.
Tell us.
I can see pallet. I can see something like pallet on the floor, and that space is a walkway for forklift.
Yes. Okay. That's a good point. Maybe when I took the picture or when Sanjay took the picture, these 2 people in front of us were actually moving this pallet with the trailer behind. Let's say that it's minor, it's circumstantial, nothing very serious. Okay? Okay with that? Excellent. Now, second example. And probably Ritika, what we could do is to put example number 1, example number 2, so that it's more telling to the people. What do you see here? And because we're late, let me describe what we see. We see 7 buildings. The first one is for essential medicine, EM. The second one on the left side is essential medicine, building number 2, or warehouse. Warehouse number 3 is essential medicine. Warehouse number 4 is program product. On the right side, same for warehouse number or building number 5, number 6, and 7 is flammable. Question to you guys, and probably Abdulaziz could pick somebody else and say, do you see problems here?
Okay, Jamila, can you tell us if you saw a problem there?
Madame Jamila?
Is Jamila not with
Yeah,
us?
hello.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm just looking at the picture. Yes.
So I will not name where it's taken, but it's a real Google Map picture of a place in Africa. French-speaking Africa, by the way. So does it look right to you?
Yeah, the cluster of the warehouses, for me, it doesn't look like right because we have flammable items here. We have medicines and we have other program products. So there might be some maybe accidental issues can happen.
Okay.
like having a flammable warehouse around. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So, how would you summarize that? For you, is it a clear problem or not?
Sorry.
For you, is it?
So what I said is that I can see flammable warehouse and other program warehouses together with essential medicine and other products. So for me, my concern here is regarding the flammable items or flammable warehouse clustering together with the other warehouses in one place. So it can be a source of danger.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good question. How can we, somebody else has something to say about that? Something else to say about this picture, aerial picture.
Saratu, can you say something?
Anybody else?
Is Saratu with us? Probably not.
Okay.
So, Dauda Yusuf, can you say something?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Based on my observation, I can see that from the satellite layout, it consists of multiple warehouses, which automatically will result in the need for more resources, more staffing to manage vis-a-vis a situation whereby it's a mega warehouse where management will be much more easier, and also it's the cost implication in a situation whereby cost for stocking of inventory or in a situation whereby the
Hello? We lost you? Okay. Okay. So we have here another opinion. Flammable is not the problem. The problem is actually there's 6, excluding the flammable, 6 buildings, and there's a clear lack of integration, meaning that, like the previous example, it should have been one unique warehouse integrating essential medicines, program products, and probably not the flammable. Is it what you mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Now I will pass on to Sanjay to continue the course so that you have a share of people.
Okay, thanks, Pierre. Okay, next slide. Yes, so that's correct. As you see on the picture, this is not an integrated warehouse or an integrated supply chain, which is a clear problem. Now, what eventually will happen is that, and this is exactly what you said, that running these multiple warehouses at the same time will require more resources. Some warehouses may have extra space. For example, if your program is not a very big program and you have dedicated an entire floor for it, it may not have so many boxes of medicines. So it may have extra space, while essential medicines, as you see, it could be for the entire district or a region or a country. and there are many products under essential medicines, as we know, and it could be overcrowded. Then, since this is all separate storage areas, so when you plan your dispatch and transportation, each time a vehicle or a truck has to figure out which warehouse to go to, and that creates complexity in the operations and stock movement. Next slide. Now, in this particular case, we are going to use fishbone diagram to conduct the root cause analysis. So fishbone diagram, if you have gone through module 3, you may have seen a full detailed version of how to organize fishbone diagram. So now, very quickly, the way fishbone diagram is organized is that we look at causes and effects from left to right. As we go down towards the right hand side of the fish skeleton, we look for effect, and as we move on to the left of the diagram, that is the causes. So in this case, the effect that we are looking is what is actually written on top of the slide, which is the poorly designed central warehouse. That is the effect. Ideally, it should be written at the head of the fish. So maybe Ritika, please make sure next time this is written on the head of the fish. That is the effect. Now, as we look at the causes, what we can also do is we can divide these causes under different segments. Now, the segments could be anything. That is totally up to you how you can segment these causes. To start a fishbone, what you can start doing is list down all the causes that you can think of, and it could be many causes. Then you start to segment it. We have segmented the causes here already under 5 categories. So categories are manpower, management, environment, materials, and methods. And you can have other categories or segments as well. But if you see here, some of the causes are decision makers lacked warehouse design expertise, warehouse planning done by pharmacists and not logistics experts or warehouse experts, little vision for central and intermediary warehousing network, poor understanding of integration benefits, limited coordination among decision maker. Then you can also look at some other causes under methods and environment, like no standardized process for designing warehouse, no expert input taken, land's floor plan was not adequate, separate warehouses built due to inherited layout, or it could also be in the reason could also be that the separate warehouses were built as and when funds were available. So they built one warehouse, then they realized, okay, we have more funds, then they created another one, then they created another one. Instead of that, okay, let's plan a full warehouse design first, and then as and when funds are available, we keep on expanding the same warehouse rather than creating multiple ones. Also, it could be that no centralized inventory storage, uneven resource distribution, so on and so forth. So these are all the various causes that could be for the image that you saw, which showed that there is, integrated warehousing is not there. All multiple sections for multiple programs, which can consume more resources. Next slide. Yeah, okay. So now once you you know plot your fishbone, another method over there is to think about what are some of those causes, you know, which uh, which could be your biggest, biggest causes that would have led to these scenarios. Now, out of the fishbone, as we saw, a few causes jump out. One cause is that the warehouse was not designed by experts, who do not have expertise in designing large scale warehouse, or they did not have any vision uh, and planning for a integrated central warehousing strategy. There could be another cause, like I mentioned, that funds were not available in that in a structured way. But then that also tells you that they did not have a vision. Even if the funds were available, they did not have the vision of constructing an integrated warehouse design. So out of all the reasons, all the causes that you saw in the previous slide, a few reasons will jump out. So whenever you're doing fishbone analysis, once you segment all your reasons, all your causes, you will see that a few causes will jump out, which would look like that these are the most significant causes of the problem that you are seeing. But what Fishbone will help you do is list down all the various causes that you can think of. So instead of five whys, where you're going in a linear direction, so you are not thinking, you're not brainstorming at once, but you're going in a linear fashion. And that is the advantage of a fishbone analysis, where you can uncover multiple causes to a particular problem and then decide which out of those many causes jump out to be one or two or three potential root causes. And sometimes those causes could also be interconnected. If you see here on the screen, since they did not have a vision for a central and intermediate network and strategy, that is why they did not invite an expert to design their warehouse. It's interconnected if you see it like that. So these become your root causes for a less integrated or less centralized warehouse design, as we saw earlier on the screen. Uh, yeah, next slide. Now, if you see here on this screen, what you can also do is compare between your symptoms and root causes. And this is very important because as we saw very initially when we were discussing the exercise from the last week, you may by mistake write root causes when you're talking about symptoms, and vice versa. Sometimes you can write about symptoms while thinking about root causes. It can also happen because it's a matter of words. Writing the words in an order sometimes can turn a symptom into a consequence or a consequence into a root cause, so on and so forth. So eventually, once you have the symptoms and you have all your causes and then root cause, it is always a good idea to write them, you know, uh, on a single sheet of paper or a slide parallel to each other, so that you can see how a symptom comes out from a root cause. So a root cause defines or it leads to the symptom. So in this case, if I read it, it says wrong warehouse layout and design with multiple independent buildings, because there was a lack of expertise in warehouse design and they failed to seek professional advice. Then we can also read higher operational costs due to lack of integration and not optimal use or not optimal use of storage space. There's a small typo there, apologies. And this is happening because there was improper vision for central and intermediary warehousing network. So once you write your symptoms and root causes parallel to each other, you should be able to make a meaningful or a logical connection between these two. If that connection is absent, then there is something wrong in your analysis. Your analysis is correct only when that connection has been established. If that connection does not look comprehensive or solid, then there is something wrong that you have done and you should revisit all your analysis beforehand. And this is a very good practice of writing symptoms on one side and then saying, okay, these are the root causes, do they match? Next slide. Now, if you do further analysis on this example, you can also think or you can also determine that ideally they should have also identified a best location of this warehouse, because as one of the causes said, there was not enough space to create that centralized integrated warehouse. So probably then that location was also not correct. It may not have the right entry and exit points. It may not aid in proper dispatch routes for distribution. Number two, estimating current and future warehousing needs and designing a warehouse layout that works on future needs. Another problem. So they may have designed the warehouse based on their current needs, but ideally, whenever you are designing a warehouse, you should think 5, 10 years in advance, because otherwise, what eventually you will keep on doing is either trying to expand your warehouse just like they did, or you will have to find another location, which is again, more expensive, more intensive, and you have wasted your time. So whenever warehouses have to be designed, you have to think much in advance, 5, 10 years. Then conducting cost assessments and engaging donors in funding discussions to ensure project is financially sustainable. Again, like I said, one of the issues or the causes in this case would have been that they did not have money to construct a fully integrated warehouse at once. So what they did was they constructed one building, then the next, then the next, then the next, and then the next, depending on when the money was available. But instead, what they could have done was they could have planned the integrated warehouse at once, and then based on the availability of funds, they could have kept on constructing it. They could have figured out a way how they could have done integration in that situation. If you see in this layout, there is a lot of wasted space in the center of in this entire area. So this warehouse layout could have been entirely different, unlike this, which is like in an L-shaped warehouse where you don't know what is the entry point, what is the exit point. It could have been slightly different kind of a design. So when you analyze this even further beyond your symptoms, your causes, you also try to think about what could have been wrong at that situation, and how in future, if something like this occur, how can you manage that situation? And it's very important to think like this. I have one last slide. Next slide. Yeah. So, and because of this further analysis and brainstorming, this will help you in identifying the remedial actions, because if there is a problem, you will have to find some remedial actions or solutions. So to identify those solutions, you need to think in depth and broad as well, so that you also think about other factors that may be associated with that problem. Now, in this case, uh, integrated central warehouse was the solution, which would have maximized resource utilization. It would have improved efficiency. It would have ensured optimal localization of products and of that warehouse area as well. So in this case, that warehouse design was not correct. It would have led to, and probably it is leading to, very low efficiency of warehouse operations. The remedial action is to reconstruct or relocate to a better place, and having an integrated central warehouse. Probably you may have seen something like this in your career as well, because 10 years ago, warehouses were designed like this. But now, in the last 2 to 3 years, I know in Nigeria, there has been a movement where in every state or at a federal level, you are utilizing the concepts of pharma grade warehouses with with proper layouts and methods of building them. So all that you must have seen as well. So if there is any comments on this particular case, they are welcome. And Pierre, you have raised your hand, so you can also talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Just for you to take a step back, we in a course, you exposed to a methodology that you use informally, and this one is formal. And we just run through an example of a country in Africa who has this setting of 8 buildings in the middle of the capital city. And what we're doing is to conclude that actually the decisions made 20 years ago, 10 years ago, were actually improper. Do you understand the gravity of what we're discovering? As Sanjay said, this tool, which is root causing, this habit, intellectual habit of root causing, could lead you to challenge old decisions and very high level decisions of a country supply chain. This is how powerful. And Sanjay and probably Abdulaziz and me, we could tell you so many examples where you're facing the Minister of Health or a decision maker and say, I'm sorry, sir, this is the root cause and we need to change it. If we don't change, if we don't have a remedial action, then you will carry these symptoms for the next decades. Over to you, Sanjay and Abdulaziz.
I lost you there for a while, Per. I didn't get what you.
Okay. I'm saying that this methodology could be for a very specific operational symptom and problem, but it could be for the country as well, such as the example, the last example we studied. Over to you. Anybody else would like to talk?
Yeah, okay. So thank you very much, here for that insight. I think generally what we see is that depending on where you are, you can apply these principles. One, if you are in operations, then obviously you are going to apply it in the operational base. If you are in management or you are in the top echelon of an organization, then you can apply it on a wider basis. For example, the last example that we had, this is purely management decision, and so there has to be a lot of administrative considerations. For example, you are going to design a warehouse, you are going to design a layout, you are going to design all these things. So you need to have all those administrative acumen to be able to get the system right. So you need to ask the right questions. And part of asking the right questions is for you to be able to say, okay, this will be better this way rather than this way. And that means you have to get the right people that will do it. So you can see how the application is from that basic thing, from where you are working as operations, you can climb up the ladder to that level and still be able to apply these 5 whys. And that is why we are saying learn this now so that it will stand you in good stead as you grow in your career. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Abdulaziz. If there are any, I will just take a 10-second pause. If anyone wants to reflect on this example, you have 10 seconds. Otherwise, I'll quickly take 3 more slides, after which we will give you another homework. Okay, no one, then let's move forward. Next slide. Yeah, next slide. So in this next 3 slides, we are going to quickly reflect on the 3 main root causing methods that we have talked about in the course. Again, if you have gone through module 3, you have already learned about these 3 methods, but we thought it would be good to reflect them again in a class so that you understand about these 3 methods even more. Now, there are many other, diagnosing, investigating, and root causing methods, as you see here. Some are very complicated, some require a lot of time, some are very resource intensive. And of course, since they are very comprehensive, resource intensive, they lead to much better investigation as well. but it is also very difficult to teach in an online course. We are not saying that you should only use these three methods, but at least you should start your diagnosing, root causing, identification of problems and solutioning journey with these three methods, which are relatively easier, and then go on to learn more methodologies, complex methodologies, of course, which result in better analysis, but of course, they take a lot more time. So today we're going to talk a bit more about the 5 whys technique, fishbone diagram, and the Pareto analysis. So next slide. So the 5 whys is, I would say, one of the simpler root cause methodologies. It offers very simple root cause methodology where we ask a question of why multiple times to uncover the root cause, or a cause which seems to be resulting in that problem, or the symptoms that you are seeing. Now, Abdulaziz mentioned it briefly in the initial section, that it is not necessary to ask the questions just 5 times. Sometimes you may find your root cause at the third why, and sometimes you may have to do it for 6, 7 times as well. It is not necessary that you only have to ask it 5 times. Of course, it's called 5 whys because on average, most problems have do not go beyond 4 or 5 layers. So that's why it's called 5 whys. But there could be some problems which are so complex that they cannot be answered in just 5 questions. They may need more questions. And there could be some problems for which you uncover the cause probably in about third why. So it is not necessary to always ask the 5 whys. But more importantly, the this method, for each level, you have to ask the right question. So as we saw in the initial example, um, the questions that Mr. Ilya wrote, logically the questions were correct. But question number one, first why, and question number two, second why, they were almost similar. So you could have actually asked the same question only once and then move on to the next one. So in that case, we saw that the more or less the root cause was achieved at about fourth why. You do not need to go to the fifth why unless you're looking at reasons which are beyond the scope of your influence, because then those answers will be, oh, but we did not have any system like that. It's a governance issue. So those are then for people like Abdul Aziz or other senior leaders who can take that to governance and think about, okay, if this is a governance issue, then how do we solve it? But for operations, you can only uncover causes up to a point which you can solve by yourself. Okay, so you have to keep asking the right question at each level. So why is this? Then you get an answer. Then you ask, okay, if this was the cause, then why is this happening? So if you ask the right question at each level, only then you get the right answer. If your question is not correct, your answer may not be correct. So it is very important to ask the right question when you are doing root causing using 5 whys method. Next slide. Okay, we revisit fishbone again. It is also called Ishikawa diagram, and it helps to identify many possible causes of a symptom or a problem. Okay, so you can create multiple categories, 5 categories, 6 categories. You can create multiple categories. You can create causes. You can also create sub causes, cause of a cause. So again, like 5 whys. But eventually, once you have categorized everything, then you need to pinpoint those causes which look to be the ones, uh, you know, creating that problem. Another method of doing it is combining fishbone with Pareto analysis, and I will talk very quickly about that once we go to Pareto. But very specifically on fishbone, uh, do not try to segment your causes from the beginning, because then you get lost into the segmentation. segmentation is important, but at a later stage. The first thing here is to list down all the various causes that you can think of. Just list down, just create a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. Just keep thinking what could be the cause of that symptom or a problem, and then list down all the causes. What you can also do is do a 5 why, turn it into probably a 10 why, and keep on listing the problems. Oh, sorry, the causes. Once you have listed all the causes, then you use a fishbone, and you segment each of those causes as per a logical category. So that you do 5 whys, then you come to fishbone, you have listed all your causes, and then to pinpoint the cause that is actually resulting in this problem, you can also use Pareto analysis. So going to next slide, let me explain what Pareto analysis is. So it works on that 80-20 rule, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. For example, 20% of countries, uh, you know, do 80% of pollution, for example, or 20% of countries have the 80% of population. So it's that 80-20 rule. So in this case, what we can also, uh, the way we can also use Pareto in this particular case is that a small number of causes they result in many more problems, like 80% of problems, something like that. So in this case, uh, once you have created a fishbone, you know, you have all the causes, you can give them weightage. That how do you think is that one cause uh, resulting in that problem? So you can give them weightage for each causes, and eventually you will see that only those 15 to 20% of causes will have the highest weightage, that will make up that 80% of chunk, that okay, these are the causes resulting in the problem or the set of symptoms. So another reason why we have chosen these three methods is because they can be used one after the other in combination. And this is done when your problem is very complex. For easy problems, you can use any one of them. You know, best is to do it very simply using 5 whys, and then probably if you need, use a fishbone. But if it is a complex problem, you can start with 5 whys, list down all the causes, then plot it on a fishbone so that you determine the segments, and then you give them weightage so that you can see which set of causes is actually contributing to more than 80% or 90% of that problem. That way you identify the main causes and then call them root causes. So these three methods in the course are presented in multiple ways, and you will be able to see how various problems and symptoms are investigated or diagnosed using these methods. And then whenever we give you exercises, you can also use either one of them or a combination of them to come up with the root causes, and then go on to discuss potential remedial actions. I will stop here. Pierre, if you want to quickly add something for a couple of minutes, and then we can give them the next homework. Pierre, you still there or not? Not sure what happened. Okay. Very quickly, if you have any questions about these three methods, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I will quickly introduce the homework for this week. Any questions on these three methods? Yes, Musa Dawda.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sanji. I have one question and one comment
Okay.
based on the case study that you show. that shows the aerial view of a warehouse where there are multiple warehouses that is disaggregated into essential medicines and programmatic program product. And actually, I became so interested. I know this is something that even in the country, from the what is happening, there is a focus on how there is going to be a integration in the essential medicines program and the project program. And just like what Feti said, the fact that we are doing it at the Yodma level, it will be interested that even at the country direction to see what it can be applicable, because we need to find out, okay, what is obtainable in the country. Do we have a similar thing or not? That means there is need for the country's um, um, unit that is responsible for managing the entire country's supply chain to look into all this layout of warehouses, so that we can know what is obtainable in the state, such that we can have that integrated program. Even though, yes, you stated that planning for the future is indeed good. However, I know most of this support for the construction of warehouses, you see that it is coming from the funders. So a lot of time you find that a state has a warehouse and somebody is coming to also support in constructing another warehouse. But if we say we are going to look at how we can have an integrated warehouse, maybe the funder wants to see a quick result. That's why he's coming to construct something from ground zero to when it's this warehouse, it is available for use. However, but it's good that in the country supply chain expert, maybe there is need for an advocacy and at that governance level, so that we can be taking that direction, such that at the end of the day, we are going to have that integrated warehouse. Then that is the comment. Then my question is still on that. When you are comparing that symptoms and causes, I wanted to find out, can a symptom be also a consequences? Because when you said because there is no proper planning, so part of the symptoms is there is increase in the cost of operation.
Hello? I think you got muted.
That statement. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Yes. So I saw that that fell under the symptom instead of consequences of the entire layout of that warehouse. So that's my question. Thank you very much. Over.
Yeah, Yashi, can we go to slide number 20, where we compared symptoms and causes? No, back. Go back. Slide number 20, sorry, 18, sorry, yes, this one. Yeah. Yeah, so Musa, very good question. Sometimes what happens is a symptom and a consequence or a root cause, it's the way you write it. So a symptom can be a consequence, or a consequence can be a symptom if you write it properly. So like you said, one of the examples you gave was high costs, but if you write it in this way, that this will result in high cost, that is the consequence, but if you say that looking at the picture, I see that there will be high operational costs, because you're talking from experience that, okay, this, when you see poor warehousing or a storage layout, you come to a conclusion that this will affect the costs. So high operational costs is a symptom, okay, and can also be a consequence of that poor warehousing or a poor storage arrangement. So it's a way you write it. Better is to write in a format of a symptom than a consequence, because a symptom will help you guide your root causing. A consequence will not always guide you in identifying the cause. So, see, the language is very beautiful sometimes. I mean, if you do it in your own local language, it might sound and feel in a different way. If Pierre does it in French, it might sound and feel in a different way. Similarly, in English, when we do it, English, we all know it's a funny language. It can take your analysis in an entirely different direction based on the words that you use. So when you do analysis, being precise, using the right words is very important. And that is why we said that, in some cases, and if you remember the exercise we did with Mr. Ilya, we first wrote what he said. We just wrote it. And then we modified it slightly that some of them became symptoms and some of them were only consequence and they were not symptoms. So it's in the power of words that also helps you to do the analysis. There will be certain symptoms which can be a consequence. There will be certain symptoms which are not a consequence but just a symptom. So you have to think clearly and you have to write clearly as to when you are writing down those symptoms, so that you make sure that you're only writing symptoms and you're not writing consequences. Okay, make sense? Yeah, Pierre.
So very quickly, the reason why Sanjay and we all knew about this wording and the clarity of thinking is because we ended up when we identify root causes, then comes the next step, finding remedial actions. And when you find remedial action at some stage, you will have to advocate for it.
Yeah.
And remember that in the few examples we had together, but it's going to be the same for future examples. It's a different department, procurement department, governance. So that means you will have to advocate. And once you want to advocate, you need to be straight to the point, very clear, so that the people understand. Sanjay, Abdulaziz, and me, we could tell you when you pitch to a minister or below, you need to be straight to the point. You need to be as clear as possible so that you convince. Over to you, Sanjay.
Yep, exactly.
And then it's going to be done in a plan of remediation. And these are the next modules of the course. So we're preparing these modules for you to understand what will be in these modules. Over to you.
Yeah. So it's that path that you need to take. So if you miss a certain step, then you may have to come around again and you waste time. So that's why writing it very precisely using the right terms and right words is very important. Again, some symptoms can be consequences, some may just only be symptoms and they are not consequences. Okay, so it's better to write them in the fashion of a symptom rather than a consequence. I would quickly take you to the example case for the homework, after which we will close this workshop unless you have any questions. So Yashika, can you go to the case? Yeah. Full screen, please. Yeah. So it's again a very similar kind of example, but I think this is a health facility. This is not a store. This is not a warehouse. This is a facility where you see certain chairs. I think one chair is for a nurse or a pharmacist, and then one is probably for a patient, or I don't know. Maybe it's a small store where a pharmacist picks, packs small items and sends it to sends for dispensing. So what you have to do in this week's homework, So you have this picture in your with you. The slides will be shared, or I think it may have been already shared. You have to find out, first of all, if there is a problem, what kind of problem, and for that problem, what are the symptoms. And then I would recommend try to use fishbone this time, and create segments of your causes and plot it on a fishbone. And next week when we speak, we would request one group to show on screen their fishbone as well. If you want to send that in advance to us, we can show ourselves, or otherwise you can show that fishbone on screen and talk about your problem analysis uh, next week. And then we will also go to identifying solutions of the problems, I think from next week onwards. Because in these two workshops that we did, we have not talked about solutions. We have just stopped at analysis of a problem, because it's a step-by-step process. So we do not want to overwhelm you, because going to problems, they have another set of steps. Okay, so for this week, please work in your groups, 4 groups that you have created. Identify the kind of problems that you see here, the kind of symptoms that you see here, and then create a fishbone. Okay, any questions on this exercise? Okay, I think it's clear. So yeah, Yashika, would you like to launch the poll on feedback? So we are launching a quick feedback poll. We would love to hear your feedback about this today's workshop. And then, we look forward to meeting you next week as well.
Any reaction from anybody? So before the poll, during the poll?
Okay, the poll is on your screen, so please vote. In the meantime, if anyone wants to share anything or reflect on anything, please do that. Okay, we have 3 responses so far. Can everyone put your response in the poll?
Does this mean that people are multitasking?
Yes.
Aye, aye, you are caught red-handed. Everybody, there's a poll. You need to react.
Hello, we can't see the vote.
It's if you go on the chat, it's there. If you click on the chat button, you will find the poll. Or it
And
would have
sometimes
come.
it pops up.
Yeah, it may have popped up as well, or it should be on the chat. Yeah, I see some more responses coming. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I think now people are seeing it. So if you go onto the chat, you will see the poll over there, and you can submit your vote.
That's funny. For me, it popped up in front of my screen. Now, might be different people with people on the cell phone.
Yeah, possible. Okay, I think we can stop recording. Yeah, okay, stop recording. Okay.